So, guys, we had left at the place where we have introduced ourselves with the uh, introduction of the Python. Now, let's see something about the Python variables. So, in Python, variables are not created when you um, uh, or when you declare them, because there is no declaration of the Python variable. In Python, variables are created at the time when you define them. For example, here I have declared or I have defined two variables x and y, and there is no explicit declaration with int, float, character, whatever we do in C and C++. So here, these variables x and y, they are declared right at the moment when they are defined here. So this is called the dynamic typing in Python, where you don't need to declare the variable explicitly. And being a very high level language, this approach fits into the philosophy of the Python, being a very easy readable uh, coding language. So unlike the other programming language, Python has no command for declaring a variable. A variable is declared right at the moment when you first assign a value to it. So the other thing is that in Python we also have this commenting out capability, where you put this hash symbol to comment out something out of the compilation. So the other thing regarding the um, variables inside the Python is that in Python you can um, print the variables even without specifying their type. For example, here I have two variables x and y, and I want to print them. I don't need to specify their type at the time of the output. So there is no specification of the type of the variable at the input. Neither you need to define the type of variable at the output. And in the code, you can assign different, you can change the value of the same variable. For example, here I had a variable named x with having the value 15.4, and later on the stage I changed the value from x from a float to a string type, and everything is working fine. And one more thing there in the uh, variables inside the Python is that we can also define multiple variable at the same time. As you can see here, we have defined three variables x, y, z at the same line. So it's also possible to define them in a single statement. So as you have already seen, that to output something in Python, we have print statement, and whatever you want to print them as the string, you just need to put them inside the um, um, inverted commas. And when you want to print some values inside this string statement, you can also do this with this format and parenthesis uh, inside the print statement. For example, in C, you have used this %d, %f for the format specification at the time when you want to use printf statement. Here in Python, you just need to declare the parenthesis, and corresponding to the parenthesis, just after the dot format keyword, you can specify the thing which you want inside the print statement. For example, here inside the print statement, at the first place, I want a string called user. So this user will correspond to my first parenthesis here. And then I want to print an integer. So I would declare another parenthesis, and then in this format parenthesis, in the next place, I would like to write the integer with what I want to print here. If you want to print some variable, you can directly write the name of the variable there, and corresponding to its to its specification inside this format keyword, it will be printed. So this is the most important thing regarding the variables inside the Python programming language. Um, in Python, there are four data storage or containers of data, which are very specialized and very useful and very powerful. And because of the time shortage, we will only discuss one of them, which is called list. So as compared to C, C++, or Java, Python does not have arrays. What Python does have, it has list. So list is a very special container inside the Python when you want to collect the a data to process. For example, here I have a list which is named as cost, and inside the list I have some integers, and these are enclosed inside this large bracket. So as you have seen, that when we use Python, we don't declare the type of the variable. That's why there is no indication of the type of this list here, like integer, float, nothing. So we just need to write the name of the variable of the list and just define the element inside the list. And a very special property of the list in Python as compared to arrays in C and C++ is that in Python we can define different types of data inside the list. For example, here I have a list called months, and here I have three types of data. First, strings, and then integer, and then the float. So Python can contain different types of data in a list. So you can directly print the whole list just by passing the name of the list inside the print statement. And you can also access the item of the list by the index numbers of the corresponding item, as we do in the arrays inside C and C++. For example, here I have a list called this list, and I would like to print the second element of this list. So I will just pass the index of this second element with this name of the list inside this large bracket, and I will get the corresponding element from that list. And in Python, here we have a very special thing compared to the arrays in C++ is that here we have negative indexing. That means you can access the element of the list from the reverse order. For example, here I would like to access the last element. So I can directly use the negative indexing to get the last element. So this negative indexing is possible inside the list. And even I can use the slicing operation, which is very special into the list, to get the elements with specification of the range of indexes. For example, here I would like to get or slice from this list from this second element up to this fourth element. So I would like to write inside this print statement like print the name of the list, and then I will specify first the start of my slice. So this is the second, so I would like to start from 0, 1, 2. So my slice will contain this element, and it will go up to the fifth, but it will not exclude the include the fifth. It will exclude it. So it will start from this second, third, fourth. So that's why I will get all these element between the second up to the fifth element, but fifth is not included. For example, there I can get the slice from the first element up to the 4 by specifying the index 1 and then colon and then the fourth element. So 0, 1, 2, third and fourth. So I will get the slice from first element, first, second, third. So the output would be the element up to fourth, excluding the fourth element. So here you can see that I have here another version of the slicing where you can get the slice up to a certain element. For example, here I have my list called fruits, and in this list I would like to print everything from a start up to the fourth element. So 0, 1, 2, third, fourth. So this is the fourth element. So I would like to print everything before this element. So I wrote colon 4, and there is nothing specified before the colon. That means from the 0th element up to the fourth element. So this is the fourth element, excluding it. So this slicing will give me that portion from this list. So the other thing is this in Python, these lists are mutable. That means you can change the values of a list. For example, here I had my list where I have first these 5 integers and then 2 string values, but I would like to say, okay, man, I would like to change the second element from integer to the string. So I would just take the index of this required element to be changed and assign a new value, and then you can see that the changes took effect. So Python lists are mutable. Once you declare a value, you can change them also. um, so here, for example, I have another version of this um, reassigning or mutability property of Python. For example, here I have a list. Inside this list, I would like to change the second item. So I would like to address this with this index and then change a new value to this item. When I will print it, I will get the new value. And even here I can reassign the range of the values. For example, I say, okay, in my list, which is called oops, I would like to change the item from third to fifth with these two values. So third and fourth will be changed from to these new values. So the list was 0, 1, 2, third, and this is the fourth. So in my new list, these two elements will take place. So instead of this, now I have a new value, and instead of this, now I have this value. So this reassigning a new value to a Python list is possible. And beside that, we have um, built-in functions in Python which are very, very useful. For example, here I have a list called uh, cities, and there are some elements defined, and I would like to know the length of this list. So there is this built-in function called length. So I just need to write the name of this function with this list, and it will return me the length of this list. For example, in the next one, I have a list called numbers. There are some numbers defined, and I want to sort them. So I just need to write um, the function called sorted. So it will sort these lists, as you can see. And for example, with this max built-in function, I can find the maximum value out of this list. So this is these are very, very useful functions which can be used with the list when you want to process the data inside the list. And moreover, we also have some built-in methods inside the list, which is also very, very a powerful feature of the Python list. For example, we can insert some element, we can clear the whole list, we can sort them, we can pop them, remove them, and so on. For example, here I had the list which you already have seen. This one, I want to insert this new number 45 there. So I can use the list with as an object, and then dot append is the method corresponding to this, as the number is the list. So when I want to put another number, I just need to use this method append, and when I run this and then print the list, then I will see that list is appended with this new element which I just defined. For example, here I want to use another method called reverse, which will reverse um, um, the elements inside my list, as you can see here. And yeah, so these are the very powerful feature of the list. So next, we will see the functions or loop inside the list. So let's see up to the next section.